Casper began inking on AKA, but he came out and sent a very nice short message of condolences. He didn't say, but we had beef and wah. He didn't have to. He understood the brother.
It's un-African to do that.
It's un-African to do that.
Very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the virtual Mkhukhu. Sanibonani nonke emakhaya. Siyathanda kakhulu and we really appreciate all your support. As always, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button. We need to grow this baby. This is the baby of the Hustlers Corner that is run by DJ Sbu, which has over 170,000 subscribers. Tina, we're still opiginini that are about to hit 10,000 subscribers. Please don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Please don't forget to click on the notification bell as well, so that every episode that comes out, you get to see it. Today, I think we're going to start off with a bit of a somber tone because of what's happened. But before I do that, I have to always welcome Ikhrotman Lami, the guy who's given birth to this platform that we have today, DJ Sbu. No, I'm good, thank you.
Blessings, good to see you, bro.
No, very good to see you. And look, we appreciate life now. And I guess, look, let's just go into it. We lost Kiernan Jared, aka Forbes. We lost Tibelo, Tibbs, Mutsuwane. And maybe you can just start us off on that because I saw that you were at the memorial service.
Yeah, I think first of all, and I appreciate you guys for being subscribers. I think we are about to hit 10,000 subscribers. That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
We've given birth to Virtual Mkhukhu. There's the Penyo Show.
Yeah.
There is House of Sanko, Fanop with Paul. And then we've got the Hustlers Corner as, you know, our
Big Daddy.
Our Big Daddy platform, you know. And I can't wait to also see you grow and start seeing you give birth to your own babies.
It's a must.
Yeah, it's a must.
We believe in paying it forward.
You know,
we believe our values, and I'm very big on values. Our values, and this is something that Ikhrotman Sbu's always had, is hustling, pressa, pusha, panda, making sure that you're uplifting your people and then allowing other people to be empowered. When he decided to go into business, he was like, look, I could be rich by myself. But he was like, no, but if I start a business like a MOFAYA, and he has I'll start a business like MOFAYA where it's not just about me, but I can empower you to go and make your own money as well. So definitely we have to give birth to, or I have to give birth. It's going to be my responsibility to pay it forward as well. Yeah,
I'm very proud of everything you've achieved. I'm very proud of the content you've been putting out and just the brilliant type of mind that you are. And I always thank Unkulunkulu for bringing us together, you know? And I just can't wait to keep seeing you grow and keep flourishing.
Thank you.
I had a beautiful episode with Untlantla Lux last week. He spoke very highly of you. He says he's also been watching your growth. And there I was commenting about you there. I was like, but I'm just very proud of you, my brother.
Thank you, Spusis.
It is a challenging period, man. I'm in the entertainment industry. You know, I knew Tibbs.
Yeah.
I knew Kiernan. I found out at the memorial service, it's actually not Keenan, it's Kiernan. Yeah.
Make sure, Baba.
Sure.
Keenan.
Irvin cause Ivan.
Yes.
Ivan cause. So I'd like to pass my condolences to the family, to the entire industry, to the Legacy, the fans, South Africans. I think it calls for concern.
Yeah.
Now that because AKA is a public profile, there's probably a lot of people out there who are saying, but this happens on an ongoing basis. Yes. To ordinary people in Jalunje.
82 people every day in South Africa are murdered.
That's ridiculous, bro. You know? And once it hits home, I think it sort of opens up your eyes. You would, hey, it could just be anyone.
Sure.
It's like, we always, that's why I guess that call it Neslunga a sucker punch.
Sure.
Because they didn't face you directly to come and hit you.
Yeah, it's cowardice.
It's cowardice.
It's cowardice. From the back.
You know?
Yeah.
Which means it could be anyone.
100%.
You can go to the president of the country and do the same thing.
Yeah.
You can go to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why for me it's a sucker move. It's disappointing that we had to lose such a young, talented brother. And then when something like this happens, you start looking like Padu AKA was just a strictly 100% musician.
Yeah.
There isn't any other things that I can say. Maybe Ubeyenza some dodgy businesses on the side. Maybe Ubeyenza matenda. Maybe, but obviously all those things come later. I think Ngesintu, noma ngobuntu, the first thing that should come, especially on the week of hearing the news, is those things come after. The immediate thing is to grieve, is to show ubuntu, and sort of pass on whatever messages you can pass on to the bereaved family, friends, or whichever way you can. Even if you don't know them, you don't have to go there, maybe sending a message, or even if you're not sending any message, but just to keep quiet at least for about a week or so. Then you can start having speculations with Ubani and all those types of things. But what is happening in this world that we're in right now, of when such a tragic situation happens and people are putting out videos out there, and Kieran was a father of a daughter. I'm a father, you're a father, we all have children. They're growing up, these things are going to be existing on the internet forever. I mean, we Pubuntu. We Pubuntu Bogoti. Do I even know if the family has already been told about what has just happened? Because we all find out on social media, and then people then just go on just posting, they start having speculations. It's like, so number one, I'm just sad about the time that we're in. And the types of tones and things that people say and the manner in which they say it, and just even with the timing. Let us send a timing. You know, we just feel singing as memes, sends a video, speculate, sends any. On the other side, by the way, on the Hustlers Corner, an episode with Nota. When you get a chance, guys, go check it out. Same thing. But Nota. You're accusing. This thing has just happened. As somebody who's claiming to have been his friend, couldn't you just immediately, the first thing to do is to go to the family or pass on your condolences, or whatever. And then maybe that happens after. Not to subiza namaka. What if you're even wrong? What if you actually can even cause somebody else's life to be lost?
And that blood gets on your hands.
Exactly. Because I can be an AKA fan and I'm watching Nota online. He's accusing people and I can think, actually, that guy looks like it's actually him.
And then we go do something.
You know? And while he was saying, you know, Sbuda, passionate, I knew Keenan, he was a friend. And yeah, I admit I was out of line, I was out of pocket. He says, I have spoken to some of the people that I'd spoken bad about. And then he spoke about his legal papers that he was served and the apology that he had sent out. And then he also mentioned that he was at a institution right now.
A mental institution.
Yeah, he says he was taken to an institution. He was medicated. He was admitted for almost the rest of last week because nobody could get a hold of him. At some point, people were worried. Is he okay? Is
maybe something's happened to him.
You know what I mean? But he just came out. Nota loves the internet so much that as soon as he came out, he's giving us a call. When are you shooting? I want to come visit. About what has just happened. But also, I guess he also wanted a platform where he could let people know, I guess, you know, why he was loud and why he was...
Where his headspace was at.
I didn't approve of any of the stuff. My heart was just still thinking of a daughter that has just lost a father. My heart was still thinking of an industry peer. My heart was Tibbs, just thinking of that amazing business mind that he was and just where he was going as a gentleman. And AKA also for me, this was only the beginning. So yeah, Nama I was very, very affected. I still am.
So look, before we carry on, I want to raise a few things. First, I'm going to take some of the hits because some of them apply to myself. I was one of the people that when the news broke out that evening, I shared the news on social media. And I think as is cooler, We have to be schooled. I remember ex-President Kgalema Motlanthe was asked, I think Julius Malema was the president of the Youth League, the ANC Youth League at the time. And one of the things people were saying is, as ANC elders, why don't you rein these kids in? And Kgalema was like, they're young, they're passionate. Allow them to make their mistakes as well. And young people are going to do whatever young people do, right or wrong. We'll speak about the wrong. We're learning that when people have passed, there is a protocol. And maybe this becomes a teachable moment to the squatters, to the hustlers. Guys, you can do things differently. But this is how things are done. So that people know. If I hear a story on social media, because it's not mainstream, it's not from a verified platform. Do I like? Do I comment? Do I share? Someone that is a superstar and that you probably have your own personal relationship and bond with. Someone like AK, people have played at weddings. People play when they've just made money. People play when they're happy, when they're sad, to lift their spirits up. So when you hear a story like that, you almost immediately want to tell Zonke Mpinji Zako, who also have a personal bond, and that becomes the story. But this becomes a teachable moment of how we should do things from a speculation perspective. I know in terms of not following protocol, and this is a lesson I think for Nhlamulo Baloyi, Nota as well, to what you're saying, if we can say as a rule of thumb, in the first week, whatever speculation and things, maybe let those rest until umzimba sesubegile and processes have been followed. And then after that, maybe, how do we then address speculations? Because I know on Twitter myself, in the conversations, I also went back and forth and said, look, the way Ukian and Notibs were taken out, what do you guys think? Because we don't know. Maybe there are people that knew them better than us. Because as far as we know in Jobush, there was no beef. There were people saying things like Ukaspa, and you're like, Ukaspa, it's rivalry in the game. I can rap better than you. It was never anything serious, and that's why Caspanyo Vest went and he sent condolences. So we know it's got nothing to do with that. His mates that he was making money with, I'm making money with you. Why would I be involved in things like that? So then we start speculating, but when is the right time as people that care and love him? And one of the things that was raised through the Nota incident was, I also don't agree with the way he was doing things. I think it was maybe his way of grieving, of which we all have our own waves, but some of them can be wrong. I think there was a Burna boy posted some things that left bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths.
I'm one of them.
So one of the things that was raised is we don't trust our police. We don't trust our legal systems. We don't trust even some of the people close by, because look, a lot of people are Christian. We know that Judas was one of the disciples. So we start wondering in those thoughts, but if we have to follow process and protocol, that means we'll never know who's corrupt. That means we'll never know who's doing something wrong. Because and someone who's evil ends up not. So those are some of the things we try to think around. Which Ubuntu betu, especially as abantu abamnyama, is what has led to incindezelo yethu. It's what's led to cases being shafted to the side. AK himself lost his late fiancé at some point for Chelsea, for Newcastle as well. Gift of the Givers led by Imtiaz Suleiman. They send people there to go and serve, to go and help. That's Turkey. So many natural disasters, so many man-made disasters. We saw the floods in Durban, Jengamanje, Newcastle, and those places. So it may not be murder, but it's losing a loved one. And we just like to send our sympathies and condolences to those people. But yeah, I guess after addressing those, if you'd like to maybe share protocol around once we've lost someone, and then maybe some of your other thoughts around the memorial service since you were there. I saw Nhlanhla Lux was there, Thibaut Touch was there, and so many other people as well.
I guess for me, I mean, you were touching on Burna Boy right now and his response to the passing of Kieran, and it's like a mini song or a mini speech, but he did it like as a form of rapping it. I posted something on Facebook and I was like, as your fan, Burna Boy, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Burna Boy right now is an ambassador of the continent, globally.
It's the biggest star we have on the continent.
He understands African customs and African culture wherever he comes from.
Yeah. Do you really think so?
He was raised by black people.
No, but you really, I asked this intentionally because a lot of black South African kids, you'll make that assumption. That's not the case. And this becomes why it's a teachable moment. Ukuthi guys, if ningafundiswanga kahle magini, sicela ukunifundisa ukuthi kwenziwa kanjani, and then teach the rest of the world, because we understand how Islam works, how the Chinese work. Maybe the world doesn't know how Africans behave, and they're waiting for us to teach them, guys, when we've lost someone, whether it's through a Black Panther movie, whether it's through some other platform. Uti, guys, this is actually how we celebrate. This is how we mourn. This is so that you as the world, or maybe as a black child who wasn't schooled, can learn, guys, these are actually the processes that we're meant to follow as black Africans.
I don't know how many times I've been in the news for having done something that is actually ordinarily could have been done by any other person, and it would have just been normal. I remember at some point I was in the news for Ukama.
Sure.
Somewhere, I think we were at the Summer Awards in San City. Like it's like everybody does that. Yes, it's wrong. I was supposed to have gone into the loo, but it's not like I was in public.
Sure.
Like in that somebody's got a camera phone that won't shoot. It's because people hold me to a certain standard because they see me as a public figure in my country.
Yeah. Now,
if I've risen and I've become a global figure, I also need to be representative of,
sure.
Oh, kodwa singu DJ Sbu manje. Oh, kodwa abantu sebangibuka ngelinye iso. Oh, kodwa abanye abantu sebangibuka as a role model. It's easy for me to be like, "Hayi, impilo yami bahlanga." But if I'm a Burna boy and on a global level, I'm sure, because I'm his fan, I do know how he moves. I do know how much he embraces African culture. He embraces people who have done it before him, the likes of Abu Fela. For me, he's our modern day Fela.
Fela Kuti.
Fela Kuti, you know.
Nigerian superstar. For all the squatters that don't know him, please go research Fela Kuti.
And just how he moves and how he represents us as Africans on a global level. I like that. I like that he's unapologetically African. Even the way he moves, he doesn't compromise. He's one of those people that, as much as I'm a fan of his music, but I like the fact that he represents us the way that he does on all these different platforms that he's on. Same way would be proud of a Trevor or of a Black Coffee. Coffee doesn't move the way he used to move 15 years ago. And if I'm a Burna boy, forget people. Even if I'm being nenkinga nawe.
Sure.
Kanjani noma besingashayisana singasabonisana. Kodwa uma ngicabanga, for instance, mina ukumazi nami yena uBurna ngamazi ngayo umfowethu ngangamazi, you know. He introduced us to
All Eyes on Me, featuring the LES and JR.
And there's another one, Goja. There's actually 2 tracks and they both became hits. It's All Eyes on Me and what? The Baddest. No, Baddest. Ooh, yeah.
That's the one, Baddest.
No, that's Baddest, but there's another one. Oh, that's All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me.
But there's another one. It's 2 songs, bruh.
That's 3. Subala 3, Pelamanch. Baddest is 1 song.
Yeah, but I'm saying Burna Boy was on 2 songs.
I'm sure. And I'm saying those are 2 tracks.
And I'm saying, yes. And they were both hits. So what I'm trying to say is that's when I was exposed to his talent.
I also like the Fela link because Fela in Versace. The AK song is also a reference to Fela from Nigeria.
You can sense
Nigerian superstar.
These artists were conscious. They know about people who did it before they did it. And Fela was doing it globally. I mean, there was a play that I once checked out a few years ago in Broadway. Fela. Broadway play, theatrical play. Sponsored, I think, by Will Smith and his wife.
Broadway is in New York.
In New York. And Jay-Z and his wife. An incredible, amazing play.
He was a phenomenal human being. That's why I'm saying the squatters and the hustlers must go research. Fela Kuti.
He was the likes of Bob Marley level. Type of. For me, like a Dube level type of. People who are not just musicians. People who are ambassadors of the continent, of the black race. And each and everything you do, you get scrutinized. And I scrutinized them as a fan. And I'm like, wow, Burna. Like for me, I'm a disappointed fan. And I was not afraid to go write it on my socials. I'm a disappointed fan. But then ngiyacabanga ukuthi abantu asifani, you know. Angazi whatever amakwali bebanawo bona or whatever had happened between them. But I would like to believe ngesintu in African culture. Umuntu mase shonile ushonile.
Sure.
I did the same thing, which was last year. It's not exclusive to Burna Boy. I love Burna Boy, but I was disappointed at the deed. Even other people called it sounded like a diss song.
Yeah.
This person has passed on, bruh. Like, come on. Last year I did the same thing. DJ Cleo, I think he was on Podcast and Chill.
Yeah.
I think they spoke about Panskom Tunzwelanga, and they insinuated that Brown might have taken some of the lyrics or the chorus that he sang to record in the studio from Moses Tembisiet. I don't know.
Brown Dash, may rest in peace.
And then I came out on social media, same thing.
Yeah.
I called out the deed. I was like, it doesn't matter how we feel. Agasekho.
Sure.
He's not here to speak for them.
He can't defend himself.
They can't defend themselves. And I kind of feel sometimes, I don't want to call it a cowardice move from Burna Boy or from anybody that speaks against the dead or knowing very well good they can't speak for themselves. But I kind of feel in African customs and African culture, but yes, then I also would understand we're living in a different time where news is news now.
Sure.
Even that's why platforms like your SABCs or government channels or TV channels, now they follow social media.
They do.
They have to move
They literally
quick.
get their content from social media.
Nowadays.
The newspapers, mainstream media.
And they have to move quick though, in verification and all of that, because times are moving quick.
Yeah.
But I also understand that now also there's a culture of YouTubers.
Yeah.
And there's a culture of social media. People are yearning for engagements, for likes, for relevancy, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They might be participating in Msindweni and end up doing things which are un-African-like.
Yeah.
I don't think there can be a protocol. You
don't think so?
I think African people or Sabantu bomoya. Now, I mean, I think in your own conscience you should feel good, man.
But I disagree, Sbu. I think this is where we've lost it. The assumption that the kids will know. Uthi ukhuluma isiZulu nengane yakho angakwazi ukuphendula uthi isiZulu awusazi sikhuluma isiZulu ekhaya. And you're like, I took it for granted. I think that's why for me, especially when I think of all the young, I'm at 2000 as we call them, a lot of them are like, tell us, because if you don't tell us, the next nation, the next group, they're going to tell us how they do things and we're going to pick up on that because they have a book. They have protocol. They can point to, legally, this is not allowed. They can sue you. But you must, for them, it's not good enough. And that's why I'm asking on their behalf, as a man, is there no way that they can learn? There's a process. But because not everyone, like the Xhosa nation, goes through an initiation process and a rite of passage. Not everyone goes through memulo. Even a lot of girls today that go through memulo, the coming of age of a young woman, they also don't know what's happening. So is this not a gap for elders, yourself, Mkhukhu Nsingiza, the great empire of Kemet and such, to say, look, since you guys are hungry for this thing and since we've realized we took it for granted, because truth anaz, Bono Burna, this becomes a teachable moment. Let's teach not just Burna Boy, but all his fans and the rest of the world. Oh, guys, we saw what Burna did. We'd like to think it came from a good place. He's a musical guy, etc. But actually, in African customs, we actually do things like this so that you guys know for future. Ningathi in future, besingazi because sesinifundisile.
No, so I think sometimes we do take things for granted and assume from all of our homes, a lot of us have been taught or we grew up under witnessing our folks or our parents or our elders doing things a certain way. Somebody, for instance, that I interviewed on the Hustlers Corner, Ukoko Skoteni. Shout out to Ukoko Skoteni. We had a great interview. I think it's one of the biggest, if not still
one of the most watched, if not the most watched.
Yeah, on the Hustlers Corner.
On the Hustlers Corner
episode. She spoke about something of umuntu ume shona endaweni ethize, like there was a car accident. The family has to come there and do some family rituals to sort of take his spirit.
Okay.
Because the family didn't come to sort of take their spirits.
To acknowledge ukuthi okay, sikulahlela but cela uhambe nathi. Oza nathi sihambe siye ekhaya.
Uzokusala la asala. Yes, yabona ke. Somebody you know, I knew that brother from back in the day, from when he started in the entertainment industry and how he had risen to build himself as this amazing DJ. I was so proud of him.
Yeah.
And now he was, you know, owning clubs and he was just very successful. He's, you know, it happened all in front of my eyes and I was so proud of him, just like with a lot of other people. When he passed on, but there is a video that I saw of his family at the actual scene where he was shot at. I don't know what they were doing there. But at the back of my mind, knowing this information that I know that's what they were doing. Yeah. They were there to take his spirit. Yeah. You know, I don't know but go check out that episode. There is that part where she speaks about that. Things like that. You'll go and pick up the spirit. Yeah. Niovela mhlambe niyothola umuntu omdala ehleli emantrasini. Mhlambe egqoke iduku egqoke netshalo noma ingubo ethile ehleli nabanye abomama sebaqala mhlambe abanye abomakhelwane that come ngesintu would go next door or would go kamakhelwane endlini yesine noma ezantsi noma ngale sizwile ukuthi ushoniwe sekuconfirmiwe ukuthi kushoniwe. It's not like siyala lapha na kuyopapa siyokhuluma ngeindaba.
And there's normally messengers who are the ones that speak to the family and then officially let it be known.
Yes.
We had spokespeople so that ufika vele ngoba ubhuti bane kwaziwayo ukuthi yena
so kuyaziwa ukuthi awuzelanga nje ukuzofisha indaba vele you are coming with your sincerity ukuzoduduza and then others will come with 10 rand sizofaka esitsheni, others will come with 100 rand sizofaka esitsheni, because we understand that we don't know ukuthi there is funeral policies and all of those things.
It's not about that.
But we are coming to say, siyazi ukuthi lo muntu kuzwe ukuthi ushonakale ushona izolo ebusuku namhlanje kusekuseni. We know ukuthi you probably might be in a situation where kumele then uqale uyothenga into zokubhaka, uyothenga inkukhu, because all these people when they keep coming ukuzoduduza, they must be drinking tea, they're offered cakes and all of that stuff. So consciously now uzoduduza awuzi empty-handed.
Yes.
You sort of come with some sort of a contribution. We all know that's what happens. And then we also know Guti, in a lot of our African cultures, it'd be something that they would call umlindelo, which they would call a night vigil in English, the night before the actual funeral. And then the neighbors again would come and still be with their family because they know it's a difficult week. And that entire week, I mean, your folks, your mother is on Usematrasini. Others are coming from far. Others are making phone calls. We heard about what happened. Condolences. Sorry, we are overseas. We won't be able to make it to the funeral. But can you please share with us your banking details? So we just throw in a little something just to make the pain a little bit more bearable. Not that it's going to go away. You know, all those little things and nuances. And then the following day is the actual burial. Umngcwabo kuyaziwa ukuthi umunemoto noma ngabe uze uwedwa noma uze nomngakho but backseat ku empty kusemngcwabeni. Ngesintu, it's some things that they don't necessarily teach you at school, but you know good, okay, from the church to the burial site, whether it's Avaloni, whether it's Mfihlweni, lapho kungcatshwa khona vele emathuneni. My car is empty in the backseat. I'm just with Penyo. Oh, mama, because we know a lot of people abana imoto. Ngenani ngabe backseat ngenani. Mhlambe sihamba ngevan. It's fine ngenani ngapha emuva. Noma sisesemathuneni siyazi ukuthi umfundisi umefunda laphayana ama verses or mama sekuhlabela laphayana, and then there comes a time ukuthi siyothela umhlabathi. We all know ukuthi men, not women, men are the ones who gonna volunteer. Nobody asks you. You volunteer to go in front. Uyobamba ikharavu. Uyothela inhlabathi laphayana. And then noma uthela inhlabathi, you don't hog ikharavu for 10 years. You know, you know, puff, give, puff and pass. You're sharing, you know, all those little things are things that they may not necessarily have been taught at school, but it's things they see bona masko. Masphuma lapho we know ukuthi ngesintu kuthiwa nasiphume emathuneni kumele sibuyele ekhaya noma esontweni. Kodwa bona bazositshela before siza la emathuneni where we were before ukuthi maniphume emathuneni nizoya ekhaya ngeke kusabuywa la esontweni asi ekhaya masiphume emathuneni nasiphume emathuneni sonke siza la ukudla kuzobe kulana namabhavu okugeza izandla azobe ala ngaphandle akekho umuntu ovunyelwe ukuthi ayele ekhaya you know they say such things and then now you'd know what even if mhlambe you had only budgeted to be there at that funeral up until 12 o'clock you know ukuthi but it's an African custom ukuthi ngiphume emathuneni before mhlambe ngihamba I won't stay there the whole day but at least I've appeared I've come to this funeral ngihambe at least ngiyogeza izandla you know even if noma mhlambe ngifuna ukudla I won't ngidle kakhulu but to be polite ngilithathe lelo plate ngidle nje kancane you know ngidle nje kancane
not ukuthi uyodla it's just
uyangifrustana yeah khona abanye bethu
khona abafika ngendlala
share man you know obviously
no of course look for a lot of people and look this is no shade to anyone and we're not going to judge anyone siyahlupheka la eSouth Africa izwe lethu lathathwa umnotho wethu wathathwa so kunokwenza ukuthi khona abantu vele abahamba hopefully imshado because that's a celebration khona bahamba nemingcwabo ngoba belambile you know and obviously thina mhlambe sikwazi ukuyithengela ukudla mawabona umuntu elambile emingcwabeni ezodla don't think hayi when uzela ukudla if siyakwazi ukumnikeza ukudla kadle naye as well that's also part of ubuntu
Then sorry, you're coming to the computer. Don't worry. And I like the fact that
you're making me think of two things. Sorry, before you carry on. The first one being, because you're saying ezinye izinto asifundiswe ezikolweni, and this is important as ubaba. Ukuthi ngikhulume no sis bethu no mama ukuthi these are some of the reasons why it is so fundamentally important for your children, especially your boy children, to spend time with their fathers. Because this is where they learn ukuthi inkomo uyibamba kanjena, uhlinza kanjena.
Inyongo kumele ube careful ibanjwa kanjena.
Inyongo abafana nje wabebamba ihalavu nje obusho. Sondela mfana kwenziwa kanje and these things can only happen with a present father because some of these things kufana nentombazane if I'm a single father raising a daughter khona izinto nami engingazazi kumele ngithi hamba uyobona no mama bezokufundisa ukuthi intombi iphatha kanje etc so the present father thing is important and also since we're speaking about African protocol I'm also thinking ukuthi uKenan in particular was a colored guy and if colored people themselves might have their own protocol and what potential clashes abanye abantu bazothi no why isilandela isinto ngoba bengasumuntu umuntu omnyama etc so I was just thinking about those thoughts sorry please continue
and I guess everything we're accustomed to as we're growing up and we're seeing our elders do, you know, we turn 18, we turn 21, we graduate or we start reading things and our mind starts opening up. Yes, there's certain things where we'll be like, but I don't agree with how I was brought up, how my parents did 1, 2, 3, and 4. Also learning better. Oh, now I know better. No, I wouldn't. Okay, maybe my parents is because, but their parents had been doing it this way.
Having the understanding. Like Ipanch was one for a reason. If you still maintain the underlying reason, you don't necessarily have to wear ipanch as an example.
Yeah, but
you're like, no, ipanch nalil because of. Today, sisahlonipha siqokile in a certain way, but it doesn't necessarily have to be.
But where
you can't compromise.
You can't compromise. Yeah. You're an African. So if shoniwe nganginenkinga nawe, Casper beganenkinga no AKA, but he came out and sent a very nice short message of condolences. Yeah. He didn't say, but we had beef and wah. He didn't have to. Yeah. He understood the brother.
It's un-African to do that.
It's un-African to do that. Yeah. You know, and also it's un-African to istumbu sakhe sesilapana. Yes, abantu sayithanda that sensationalism and just views and likes and usuzwile ukuthi or abanye abantu mhlambe now you're not sure if it's true. You maybe you don't have the video but you're asking like, is it true ukuthi lento engizwayo? But now you must have your own conscience when you've got your own phone in your hand. And I do that all the time. Sure. I mean, there's times when even just last week, there's things I want to share, but hey, you know, easily people might just think, oh, now Burna is trying to jump on this bandwagon on AA, you know?
Sure.
Now he's trying to, you know? I'd rather not do it. Sometimes you want to share some of your memories, but sometimes it's not even abantu, but just it's still fresh, this thing.
You know, earlier when you were speaking about Burna Boy, I wanted to say it's this line of with great power comes great responsibility. And you spoke about Uputnati, or Black Coffee, Udnai, he's moving differently now. Because with great power comes great responsibility. There's a lesson in what you're saying now, and it's meant to be with age is meant to be wisdom. Because maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, maybe buzo punyuga. But with age and experience, you are wiser. We are ikuza. because you now know the consequences. Yeah.
And even if there won't be any consequences, that African instinct kicks in.
Consequences don't have to be real, guys. Kuluma consequences are amadlozi, abantu abapansi. Kuluma consequences within yourself.
Yeah.
Where usuya isol ukuthi I don't think I did the right thing. Your own conscience.
Yeah.
So some consequences is not ukuthi you were sued or someone. It's just you feeling bad. I should have done better. I should have done more. That's one of the consequences.
And that's the thing where your African instincts kicks in, and you're like, no, I'd rather not. Because we as Kuza.
Yeah.
Because you're also grieving with the family, even though you're not there with them, but you're sort of, in your mind, they're going through this. You've been to people's homes who are abazilile, who have just lost someone. You probably have lost somebody in your family before, or more than one member. It has happened over and over before in your family as well. So
Yeah.
You might not know at what magnitude they're going through this hurt or this sad moment, but you do know how it feels like.
Yeah.
And that would sort of guide how you would move and what you would post and what you would say online.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what I was trying to say.
Man, I'd like to thank yourself. I'd like to thank you, and it's not just you. I think in my head, I'm thinking of Uputu Paul Mnisi. I'm thinking of Osisu Thandiswa Mazwai. Some of us, we weren't 2000, we were whatever, we were 80s, 90s babies.
Millennium.
We realized at some point that the way we're living is not right. And we went on a journey of self-discovery, which you've been on. And that's why I'm thanking you. And I mentioned some names. Joshua Maponga, another hugely watched episode on the Hustlers Corner.
Yeah.
Also went through, because he was a bishop of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And he went on his own journey of self-discovery. And it becomes a challenge, especially to the young squatters and hustlers. If you can feel, because sometimes our ancestors speak in funny ways. Sometimes they speak through depression. Sometimes they speak through you being broke and opportunities not coming through. Sometimes they speak through a death where you had a funeral and all of a sudden you feel funny. Sometimes they speak through us. Ukuzontshela abantu bakini bazontshela ukuthi vuka emaqandeni naba abantu lalela ukuthi bathini bazonifundisa. And now it's on you, feeling ukuthi as into abayishoyo ngizifani. It's now incumbent on you to go and do the research like uSibusiso has done. No one ekhaya kubo sethi Sibusiso hamba kuyofunda ukuthi ukuba umuntu omnyama eAfrica. He took it upon himself, and we are trying to school you where we can with a little bit that we know, whether it's right or wrong. But we also implore you to go and do your own research and start your own journeys, because there's certain things you're going to uncover that are going to educate us. And we're going to invite some of you, we don't have all the answers. And my request, especially my request for a lot of us, I know I'm speaking for a lot of us, is let's document our stories. Whether it is visual, whether it is audio through a pure podcast, whether it is written. We need more writers that are going to tell the stories of normally at a funeral, normally at an innan, so that some of our children, even if they discard these traditions moving forward, they understand imvelapi. And then, as you said, some of the principles are not to be compromised at all. I know the Islamic faith, as an example, it's only the men that go to the graveyard. And understanding why is that done, so that you can also say, oh, okay, if this is the principle, we've got an African principle, only the men do this. We've got a principle, oh, mama bashala ematrasini or bashala ematransini. Why must I cover my hair? Yes. And having an understanding, and if those things have changed, let's change them, but let's own, so that we can explain to our children when they ask. When a friend of a Cairo, your own daughter, is watching. I was visiting my daughter in Durban. By the way, I was on Florida Road where Utibs and AKA were gunned down to go pay my respects. There's a beautiful space there that has been put where people are bringing flowers and there's pictures. I was there to also go and just pay my respects. But I was there with my daughter. I have a daughter, she's 3, culture. I've got another daughter, she's in China right now, Africa. She might be learning Chinese customs. Culture now is my daughter, looks at me, Baba, what's happening? My sons are watching, Baba, what's happening? I need to be able to explain to them. And mangazi, guys, angazi. Now I have a responsibility to go and learn. And maybe they have to have a responsibility to go and learn. I taught my own father, may he rest in peace, I taught my own father, I went to go and do the research. Ngathi baba nazi ngayibhala phansi nazi ithakazelo. How not uyitholephi? Ngathi no ngeke ngakhuluma nomkhulu no gogo no baba omncane. Sonke says no one has a monopoly on knowledge and information, but I'd like to think we are all trying to win. Not just financially, which is the easiest one, but physically in terms of health. We've spoken about what you eat. Physically in terms of the power of your hair, the power of connecting with nature, hugging trees and the like. Spiritual health. We're trying to win spiritually so that you can be rich, you can have a great body. But why are you struggling to sleep at night? Why are you always sweating? Why are you always in spaces where an anxiety attack, but you're rich? You have a banging body. It's because your spirit is not at ease. So some of these conversations are meant to help you guys find your own truth. Educate us. Let's educate each other and let's all win.
And that's what I was trying to say to Nota. Go check out that episode next door. It's also live right now as we speak on the Hustlers Corner. To say, Nota mfoka baloyi akwenziwa kanje.
Yeah.
Nesinto akwenziwa kanje mfowethu. Akwenziwa kanje. Okwenzile ngiya understand now ubu frustrated ngoba ubumazi ukhina.
Busenhlungwini. You're in pain.
Yeah, but Nota being Nota, Shem, I think he also saw his wrongs.
Yeah.
But Shem, he was also institutionalized.
Yeah.
And not only Nota, then I started thinking from a bigger picture. Shame, man, he was also in shock.
Yeah.
Because I also remember when I heard the news, I did not even want to see the video in the beginning. Luckily, at some point, I found somebody who also cuts the video before the shooting happens, and he actually even titles it before. You know, this video does not show the... just to sort of see a bit of what people were talking about. I understand the confusion, I understand the hurt, I understand the anger. But sometimes even our anger should be controlled.
Yeah.
Because it might escalate into more detriment to other people's lives.
Yes.
Accusing people when you're not sure also is unfounded, and it's not fair. You know, we spoke with Nota of a brother called Don Design who used to work with Ukiernan. We spoke of DJ Feel. We spoke of Amazulu Football Club. And I also even offered him an opportunity to repeat his apology on camera. And, you know, I was coming from that aspect, but I also don't want to be that guy online who's on some, yo, that's why we are here on the internet. This is free speech, bro. Yeah. You can't be here and be manning us here. Yeah. We are here to speak our mind, you know. But with that being said, as somebody who's also one of the prominent figures in the country and somebody who's got a prominent sort of platform online, I think I'm speaking for millions of other Grootmans who are not online, or who are maybe online but they only have 30 followers. Their voices are not as loud as mine. So maybe it is necessary to have at least somebody in their 40s to sort of, even if his voice is not that loud, but just sort of come out and be like, you know, it might just land on someone's ears, and maybe in future they also get to do better.
Thank you. I want to say this. This is from me. This is not the virtual Mkhukhu or the Hustlers Corner or anyone. This is me. First and foremost, thank you so much to Lynn and Tony Forbes. Seeing them laughing, smiling, rapping word for word, AK's songs. Thank you so much, man, for being an example to the rest of us and to our parents. Some of our parents don't want us to be rappers. I think one of the chains where Ivy League was saying this. So thank you for being a shining light and showing the beauty of intentional parenting and parents being involved in their child's success. But I actually wanted to speak to this. We're all hurting, and AK is music, and music is energy. Music is energy and it vibrates, man. Some of it is used for evil, some of it is used for good. Some of us, as our profiles grow, of course, have a great responsibility, and we need to start measuring our words. Some of you don't have to measure your words, and you should never feel a need to censor yourself, because it's your truth wherever you are. I've said some reckless things in the past, which I don't regret. Luckily, there were no real consequences. I don't regret them because it was my truth. But I want to say this. People get murdered in this country. And it cannot be, again, this is me. It cannot be that out of respect and out of protocol, we keep quiet. Because sometimes the silence is what allows evil people to do evil things. Do not falsely accuse people. Do not. It is wrong, because ungathola ukuthi AKA no Tibbs themselves mhlambe bafe because someone falsely accused them of certain things somewhere. Kanti abantu wrong. Late would say, actually, it was the wrong people. Because it's reckless. So be very careful of your words. But in that, don't be quiet about how you feel about certain things. Because I can tell you, in this country, there are evil people in very powerful positions. Politicians, we know there's political killings. Business people, we know there's business killings, whether it's tenders, whether it's something else. And we're not just talking otaki. I can tell you now, of course,
there's another dark world.
There's a very dark world in this country of business people and money. Globally, some of your favorite billionaires and stuff, they are involved in certain dark things, which some of them have come out, some have been accused of, some have had to pay bribes, and because of atrocities in nations, where there is genocide, just because they want resources, the mining, whatever the case. So there are evil people in the world. And in that, what needs to happen for some of us, as small as we are, is our bravery needs to come out in our honesty, in not being reckless, but in saying, look, guys, this may have happened, this is how I feel, but people are dying, and we will not be silenced by maybe a minister of police or a politician or a business person just because because that is how some of these people silence some of us. We are hurt. We are in pain. Be responsible, as Ikhrotman said. But in your responsibility, don't be silenced. Because they always say that bad things happen when good people don't take action or are silent. So my request is twofold, of course. It's don't be reckless with what you're saying. Let's not accuse people because begumnandi and someone said and hey, mangbugi video. That is dangerous and people get hurt and all of the blood will be on all of our hands. So think, be wise, even the timing. But number two, in all of that, don't then take that and say, hey, outing tule. Because it's in the silence that there are so many drug dealers in some of our townships that no one does anything about. It's in some of our silence that even in our own families, I'm uncle that are doing funny things to some of our nieces because it's too late. It's hey, know when is the right time, and this is not an easy thing. Know when is the right time to be vocal. And of course, again from me, we need to protect our families. We saw this with the looting and the rioting in KZN, where certain people were gunned down. And what Usbuda said about cowardice, Uguti, if my brother and I, Penson, spoke about this, Uguti, for some of us who are good people, some of us are going to need to have the tools and the weapons that can keep away bad people from harming those we love. Because you can only imagine if Abafwetu around Kenan and Tibbs were armed, I'm not saying, look, it could have been worse than what it was. More people. But I know evil. Evil is resistant to a woman that can defend herself. If you know evil thinks twice. For us good men that have families, that have daughters, that love our children, evil thinks twice when they know it's so don't be scared to speak your truth. But yeah, back to positivity. Lynn, Tony, the entire Forbes family, sitting there. As sad as the moment was, man, the beauty of the memorial service. Nadia, Nakai, DJ Zintle, Cairo, saw Pearl Tusi's daughter there as well. All the guys that were there, the LES, KO, Kuli China, of course, you guys, DJ Spoo, Thibaut Touch, Nhlanhla Lax was there. I saw Reason on an interview there as well. Everyone, Young Chief, Sizwe Dlomo gave an amazing history of hip-hop in South Africa as well. And I think he owes us a more detailed breakdown of the history of our hip-hop. Thank you, man, for the beauty. But guys, we need to get braver because evil thrives when we lower ourselves. Apartheid, is because there were evil people that came and did those things. And if we return them with the kindness of Ubuntu, they are given a license. So at some point, namadlozi ethu, nabantu abaphansi okhokho bethu omkhulu, khona la nababathe mhlambe lama 2000 khona ukudelela ukudingakalayo ukuthi singaqhubeka sicindezelwe zabantu abamnyama.
I hear you and I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be silenced and we shouldn't you know, it's exactly as you're saying. Like, what do we do as South Africans? There's a lot of lawlessness now. People are getting gunned down in public, even public people. Well, the police confirmed, sadly, Kiernan's and Tibbs's passing was an assassination plot.
Yeah.
They did give out an official statement as SAPS, South African Police Services. when they're saying that, it means there's somebody who planned it then.
Yeah.
And whoever that person is, wherever they are, just the fact you
yeah.
You know, I even bumped into 2 episodes ago, not last week's episode, but the week before.
Yeah.
You know, we post these clips from long format podcasts that we put up, but then we clip up some parts to post on social media so you guys are aware that there's a new episode that is up. And there's a clip that we posted where Penuel was speaking about inkabi. And some people, I think you had mentioned around, do you know what it can be as low as 5,000 rands? Yeah. And sadly, that actually happened before this incident. Nami, as I was saying, Ubuntu Bami did not allow me to bump into those clips again after this had happened. I had to go back to 2 weeks ago and what I had posted to delete.
Yeah.
You know, yes, I know it's on the podcast, but on my social media platforms, just to delete.
Didn't feel right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow, like, we're just talking about this a week before. And then this happens. And then the police confirm it's an assassination. I understand. They're wrong. Hey, we are man. As position. No, you know, you know, you know, when they talk about a fully fledged musician, I wasn't 100% fully fledged. I'm still not.
Yes.
I mean, I would present, I would do radio, I would write music, I would get on the mic, I would DJ, I would do public speaking, I'd write books. You know, I would do all these different things, but there's just some other people who are just born to know their greatness and they focus on it 100%.
Sure.
And that's what that brother was. And as I was saying earlier, that I did not know of any other things that this man could be involved in on the side. And even if he was, he couldn't be, and he wouldn't be able to achieve the amount of brilliance and excellence as a musician that he did. You can just tell, I mean, I follow him.
Yeah.
And I'm always, if you can check back on a lot of his social media posts, even just the last 20 posts, you'll see a lot of my posts there, even when he was still alive. I always just come in there and I'm like, even when he goes live, I come in. So I follow this man and he goes live often. He's always making music.
Yeah.
If he's not with his kid, this person is always about music.
Yeah.
If he's not at shows, this person is in the studio. And a person like that, it's difficult to think Ubani who had a motive to get rid of such a brother. But anyway, with that being said, also,
no, but I need to address this. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, when you speak about Umoya and things that disturb you, I think I need to address this officially on the platform. Ngikhulele eNewcastle, mina ngazelelwe eMadadeni, eNewcastle kwaZulu. Ngike ngavakasha endaweni efana noNquthu noMsinga eNongoma. Ngike ngavakasha eThekwini, of course, koMnambithi indawo enjalo. Ugogo wami sekuvukeni, usisika gogo wami wakwaHlathi. We have got a unique story in South Africa. It's unique, it's ours. It's our story. Americans and American hip-hop have got their own story. We hear stories about crack cocaine. We hear stories about gun violence. Tupac and Biggie were killed. Even now, there's young kids in America that think it's cool to have guns. They make rap songs about killing each other. They kill gents, and they literally go to their grave sites and they shoot a music video. And I remember when Meek Mill came out, he explained
Smoking Tuka, where they make fun of the deceased.
When Meek Mill came out as a rapper under Maybach Music, he explained that the crew that he came from was not a drug-dealing crew. As we've heard, or Jay-Z were dealing drugs, or 50 Cent were dealing drugs. He explained that he came from a murder crew. His crew were crew inkabi, where they'll murk you, is how they say it.
And they call them shooters, no?
Yeah.
Or killers.
Baningi abafowethu engikhule nabo engibaziyo that have, from KwaZulu, angeke ngikhulumele ezinye indawo engingazazi, that have been inkabi. And a lot of people, and look, I need to explain that when I was speaking about inkabi, maybe people think it's cool and it's cute and it's a soundbite. If you grow up in certain spaces and you know certain people, it becomes your life, you know. I know about to young guys about inkabi, and my message is mostly to them. Because in Yazi, drugs, some people now understand. I went into the drug game because I think it was Biggie, I was just trying to feed my daughter. There's people that go into certain spaces for certain reasons, or sis that end up prostituting themselves because they come from Inhluphe. That become inkabi, not because it's cool or because they are evil. It's literally because nabo bazama ukuthumela imali ekhaya, bafike endaweni efana noTheku or Maritzburg or Richards Bay and bafika baxakeke lapha abanye bafika la eGoli bahlale koma hostel baxakeka abakwazi ukudrive ama taxi umsebenzi awutholakala bacindezelekile and some of them end up ethi umuntu ekuse ngizokhafa na u10 squad ngizokhafa na u5 and all of a sudden they're like hey mfethu kulanjiwe ekhaya lo muntu angimazi anginendaba naye and death is like life is fickle. Death is an instantaneous thing. But mfethu ngiyangicela some of you that may know me, some that don't know me, if mhlambe nawe ekhaya yini uyazi ukuthi ubhuti wakho or malumba wakho whatever bawenza lo msebenzi ngiyangicela bafethu, let's try and find other ways okhanda imali. Number 1, dayisani MOFAYA, pushani mhlambe ibhathu netrip, zamani ukushaya zona lezi zinto zama podcast. I mean, you hear people like Israel Mateke Zulu, who was in crime but who has changed his life. Gayton McKenzie, who was in crime and has changed his life. These people realize there is another way to live. Akon, who's a super international star, was in crime. Oh, Mendoza. Some of these guys committed crimes and they changed it. Ngiyangicela bafethu, please try. Siyangicela bafethu, ukubulala abantu is not a way yokuphila. Ngiyazi nithwele kanzima. But siyangicela bafethu, that's the one thing. Asibone insenze njani. Mhlambe hambani niyofuya, mhlambe hambani yongena kuma taxi. Asibone sisizana kanjani as abantu. Khulumani nenkosi yenu ukuthi inkosi sicela nivule ama economic systems la kwaZulu ukuthi nathi singene kumnotho, singene kwi mining and farming, sikhanda imali ko Richards Bay. There's so much money that flows in and out of Richards Bay of Durban. Sondelani lapho ningavalelwa ukuthi it's only for certain people. Khona ngiyenza lezi zinto enzenzayo. Number 1. Number 2, bafethu asehlise ulaka. Sonke siyacasuka. And there's a lot of people that speculated about what happened. Ukuthi hayi mina ngicabanga kwenziwe ulona ngoba vele kwakwenze. There are certain ways of ubuntu that we can do things, and part of them have to do with ukuthi sihlale phansi sibonisane. Makukhona umuntu okulimaza ngendlela ethizo, limaza umuntu wakini, musu ukujahela isibhamu. Uthi awuthi mina ngiyoshaya isibhamu ngeke mina ngijwayele umfana. Don't do that. Take a step back and try and think of the legacy of the spirit in your family, of what this will do for you. Asihlale phansi sibonisane. Ngesinye isikhathi uthola ukuthi mhlawumbe khona umuntu okwenze wrong. Uthi uyabona ukuthi wasenza wrong kanje, pay us back ngendlela ethise mhlawumbe asakho ubuhlobo. You know, there's funny stories like the story of Romeo and Juliet, which is a William Shakespeare story of 2 families that were fighting with each other, where the children loved each other. Back in the day, kwakunokwenzeka ukwakho ubuhlobo where 2 families that are fighting. It happens even with countries today. 2 families that are fighting will find children in those families that get into arranged marriages. Ukwakho ubuhlobo. Ukuthi siyazi ukuthi nina nasicindezela kanje, nina na ngoba singasafuna ukuthi kubulalwane la. Your daughter, my son, bayahlangana bashade benzela ukuthi sihlobane. That is a way of bringing peace. Ukuthi look, njoba lezi zinto zenzakele, mhlambe khona wathinteka kanje, mhlambe khona asihlale phansi sibonisana ukuthi if kwaba khona iphutha somewhere, khona wathatha inkomo yabani, khona wathatha itaxi yabani, lona wacisha ubani ngamathenda, asihlale phansi masinobuntu sithi asibonisana ukuthi lento sixazulula kanjani. I don't condone violence. I don't condone killing. I know evil people believe in that stuff, but I know there are good people where you have tried your best. I know the ANC, MK, APLA, or AZAPO, they tried. Ukubonisana namabhunu, bahluleka, but I know sometimes you don't have a choice, but where you have a choice, be smarter. Listen to your spirit. There have been stories in this country of inkabi that went to the victim and told them, look, someone sent me, please solve this thing. Or they go to, baba, before I do this thing, because I know some of these people. They're not monsters that sit in a dark cage. Some of them are people with families, with their own dreams. Some of these people say, ngoba ma umuntu omuhle mhlawumbe oyenza iphutha mhlawumbe simkhulumise lo muntu asingavele siphunyuke ngoba manje saphunyuka sazi leyo nto nakithi so hamba siyogeza so hamba siyothola amabhandi so hamba siyogcaba, it's fine, but sicela usitshele lo muntu esiyomcisha vele umuntu ongasumuntu omuhle la emphakathini, kodwa maye umuntu omuhle nathi lento izosipoka nathi lento izopoka abantu basekhaya. And one of the things people don't understand about the inkabi game is khona abantu that send abafana ukuthi bayocisha abantu, and once sebebacishile bathumela abanye abantu bayocisha labafana bacisha abantu. It's dirty, it's dark, it's unnecessary. There are so many better ways to resolve issues. We are fighting on a global level where there are forces that don't want us to win. We're speaking about so many things we could be fighting together as a nation. Kodwa siyabulalana over sometimes izinto engasanga ukuthi hey lokhu kungijwayela kabi. No baf. Yehlisa ulaka sonke sizama ukuphila, sonke sizama ukubusa. Let's see if we can find other ways to live. And to all the guys who are inkabi out there, whether you do it part-time or full-time, to all the people that are related to inkabi out there, ngiyanicela bafethu. Ngiyanicela, let us find other ways of ukuphila outside of this way. If you're selling drugs, let's find other ways. If you are prostituting yourself, let us find other ways. Shaw umculo, wozuzo act, wozuzo push business. Khuluma nathi. Nathi abantu. We don't have all the answers, but sozama ukupusha, sikwazi ukupusha khona ukuthi sikwazi ukuphilisana siyabantu. I just needed to get that off my chest.
Thank you for getting that out of your chest as well. An interesting point you touched on towards the end of your contribution. You were saying, Oguti, so it's been said before that what somebody would be contracted to do umsebenzi inkabi, there would be others who would be sent to good so as to eradicate evidence.
Yes, it's to clear the trail.
Okay.
Look, it was done by the mafia as well. If you follow some of these crime movies, they discuss the same things where you send a nobody, and it must be a nobody, someone. But then my same because the somebodies, why would know my Uputbani won't be involved. Uputbani uzofisa the nobody, so that no one ever knows. Bangaze bamthola umfana bathi yasimtholile lo mfana okwenzile. Some kailis kanti bona bamthumile. It's just unfortunately how the way the world works. It's not a good way. It's not a positive way. And we're very much on positivity, doing great things, etc. But again, because we are human and because we understand, we have to speak about these things because they're realities. But minanje bengcela. A lot of us, look guys, a lot of us have been tempted, I'm going to say, to commit crimes, small crimes. Ufake an extra zero we invoice. Many of us. You know what I mean?
An extra zero we invoice.
There was that story, I don't know if it was 40. That story of the toilet paper. Ngas nombi 15,000. Was it toilet paper? I think it was a pack of toilet paper for 15,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So those are crimes.
Yeah.
But khona abanye abanesibindi sokuthi bona they're not just gonna bantshontsha inyuku ubaqamamanga bagcina becisha abantu, and siyanicela nje bafethu.
Yeah.
Nathi sifuna ukuphila. Yes, the amount of music we will not get. The music, transformative music that is inspired. I saw MT gave a shout out. I saw Nasty C gave a shout out. The amount of, you spoke about, a lot of South Africans didn't know who Burna Boy was until AKA featured him on a track. You're like, come on, dog. You guys have taken away basically a gold mine.
Hitmaker.
He was a gold mine that was going to enrich so many other people and inspire. We're still listening to his music today.
So
classic catalog.
Coming from the music industry in this country, there was a time when very highly, at some point it was extremely highly impossible to become a superstar in this country when you don't sing in any one of our local languages. Yeah. If you're doing everything you're doing in English, we all know there was a time when you can do your R&B music, it's nice, it'll play on radio, but it's not going to be Ingomeng Amlunyaga, you're not going to be a star, you'll probably just be a musician, but
you won't be Ringo Madlingo, Ziba.
Yeah, you know.
You have to hit that vernac.
You won't be a Zahara, you won't be a Brenda Fast, you won't be a Lira, and these ones are and a slung. You can also see what they blend nang a synth.
Sure.
But for me, it was the first time, not only just putting a slung, uktola artist, Elizo breaker that cycle and literally, you know, some people in America right now, they say hip-hop took this turn that it's at right now, a decade later, after Kanye West and 50 Cent competed. And I think in that competition, I think Kanye West in those albums where he was competing with 50 because they did a campaign. I don't know if you remember when they were releasing their albums simultaneously.
Sure.
They even did a campaign.
They were competing with who's going to outsell who.
Yeah, a lot of people still say, Uguti, the reason where hip hop is at right now, the reason why about Drake were ushered into this era, and all these guys who are now like singing and who are doing it the way they're doing it, it was because of Kanye.
100%.
And people are saying if 50 Cent had won that, we don't know, but people are saying the gangster rap type of phenomena would have gone on for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it would have dominated more. It would have been difficult for the softer rappers to get in.
Because Kanye was considered Indonesia is pink, school bag, cheese boy.
100%.
AKA was a cheese boy.
Yeah.
So even his friends at the memorial, they were even, making jokes and talking like that, but,
Before it was the St. John's College.
St. John's College, you know. And coming from the music industry, coming from the Kwaito game, there was just not possible. Would you be a star in this country, which is boy? There was just that thing. I'm a Kwaito star. I'm a Pansul. Abo Mendoza. Abo Du. Abo Mzambia. Abo Oskido. Abo, you know what I mean? Like abo. And yes, you can blend this thing and become like a boom shaka. Come with your own sound, bongo muffin, but nje uzoshaya isilungu nje straight isilungu and succeed Mzansi. It was unheard of.
Who went platinum without a Vernac record?
Boy did it, bro.
That's his line.
He did it in front of our eyes, bro.
Who went platinum without a Vernac record? By the way, shout out to Pitch Black Afro. Yeah. I think he was the first hip hop album to go platinum. Yeah. Vernac. Shout out to guys like Zagwe or Duncan.
Because group was Squatter Camp.
Okay.
Solo was Pitch Black.
Pitch Black. Yeah. You've got guys like Duncan or Zagwe. Tear Gas. Yeah. Those guys were big on Vernac.
Very big on Vernac.
And then AK came through, Baba, with the English. And then got figure on Nasty C.
Yeah. So for me, the example I'm making about Kanye West's trajectory of hip-hop, and after him winning that album release campaign, whatever you want to call it, and the trajectory at which he started influencing other stars, because he had even done an album called 808 and Heartbreaks, where he was actually really singing.
Yeah. And
back in the era of about 50 Cent, about Jay-Z, about Biggie, it was frowned upon to have a rapper singing.
Yeah.
If you can go to a Jay-Z song called DOA, Death of Auto-Tune, there's even parts, some bars where he says, melodies,
literally hating on singing and auto-tune.
Sure. Because I guess hip-hop was birthed on that.
Yeah.
But then times change.
Yeah.
Things evolve.
Yeah.
There is no longer a BlackBerry and PPM. Yeah. There is no longer a Reader's Digest.
Yes.
There is no times change. Things
Reader's Digest, you're going far back. Far back.
Locally for me, where hip hop is, and not even just hip hop, where our music industry is, AKA had a very big contribution in making us easily accept people like Abo Nasty, people like Abo Sis Shekinah, Abo Elaine. Yeah. I mean, there were good R&B singers.
Tellerman.
Abo Tellerman.
Shane Eagle.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a time when, if you're
Frank Casino.
Abo Frank Casino.
Those are all the boys.
If you're an artist like that, we knew good
sure, because Kuluma is American.
Even when Pro joined the TS Records.
Mzegezeg at some point was bashing Americanized.
Yeah.
We know the LES came out, was like, Makoporosh.
Yeah. So for me, I credit him for that. Yeah. I credit him for having positively contributed to the music industry, for opening it up for everybody else, and also just, I think, I was sitting next to Abelo and his wife, Sis Gail Mabalane. And
Puga Two Shoes.
Puga Two Shoes, my brother.
He's from St. Stithians, I believe.
Yeah.
Before my private school.
And I was sitting with Slicker, I was sitting with Untugza, there was just a whole lot of us at the memorial service, and I was sitting next to JR and his wife, Mrs. Tippy, and there was just a lot of us, and I was with Abu Tibo Taj, Major League guys, and big up and thank you to the industry for showing up for Keenan, for his family. Thank you guys. Thank you very much for showing up. And those who couldn't go, but thank you very much for also mourning him and listening to his music, to listening to his old music, because you're contributing to the streams and you're contributing to the legacy and the money that will be raised through the music to go and grow Okairo. For me, it impacted me somehow, even though it's not directly, because you need to remember, our kids go to the same schools, you know? ingane zethu ifunda zonke labantwana, and these kids are friends. We might not be as close to her, but ingane zethu ziyabangani.
Sure.
What do I say to my daughter?
Sure.
What happened to Cairo's dad? You know, I still have not had that conversation with her. Can see that she understands what has happened, but she doesn't understand at what magnitude, and I don't even know what to say. But anyway, credits for having changed the game. Credits for still having the balls and the hunger for more success. And with everything that had happened with him over the past, say, 2 years, musicians, they would say to release some of their best work when they're going through pain.
Sure.
When I released the album Violence, which had Remember When It Rained, that happened just after I'd gone through something similar. I lost a very dear person that I cared about who committed suicide as well. And I obviously don't want to dwell into that story because I don't want to unearth old wounds to her family on the other side. You know, it's things
but may she rest in peace.
I think of. They'd probably even be mad at me. How? Now in 2023,
sure,
you're still podcasting now.
Sure.
But anyway, I'm saying that so as to say, I've been looking forward to sit down with Keenan on the Hustlers Call.
Yeah.
We're planning it. People did say, of his side, there's a new album he's working on. He's not doing any interviews for now. Up until when the album is coming out, you'll be one of the first guys, if not the first person he'll sit down with and do a proper interview. Yeah. And Mina, coming from that side, coming from having been in the industry for long, coming from, you know, our daughters knowing each other, coming from having watched them, you know, change the game, coming from an era where they were, even before artists who sing in English were as big, I was just looking forward and I was just so fascinated with everything this man had achieved. Yeah. And one thing I was looking forward for was his, you can call it a comeback.
Yeah.
Because I knew, we knew Burna because of him. And I know that they know each other, Nabo Trevor, no, they come way back in the day. And all these guys are his friends, and these guys are global. They're doing it on a bigger scale. Yeah. I knew in him, he had the hunger to go global.
It was a matter of time.
For a reason, I looked at this album as this is the album that's going to take this boy global. There's a clip that went viral now. People are posting where he's like, the O2 Arena, you niggas think I'm playing. I watched that thing, my man. I get goosebumps. I'm like, Lento doesn't understand. The way we've been cutting a corner, so years that I did. And having been inspired by Casper, his rival, filling up all the stadiums in his country. You could hear the fact that he was already sending it to the universe. He kind of felt, I'm going to go do that O2 Arena. And I already knew that from O2 Arena, where else do you go? You go to like Madison Square Garden, Barclays. That was his mindset, wanting to go global. And I guess for me, that's when I thought, this man is going global. With this upcoming, I can't wait for this album. And then sadly, he passes on. Damn it. I was so looking forward to seeing this story unfold, you know?
Mass country.
Bro. And obviously, it's going to be a big successful album because we all know how good it is when it comes to beat selection, when it comes to sampling, when it comes to being a perfectionist with his sound, when it comes to being carefully crafting radio hits, radio bangers. There's other people who are good musicians, but there's other people who can make good radio songs. And good radio songs usually would churn out to make the creator of that music a success because radio just gets to love your music. And your music is played everywhere. And other artists, you find that you're a good artist, you put out good songs, but you don't sometimes get that much of a good play. Not only because Mkhambu you are Tugana, but there's just a formula that Keenan had cracked of creating radio bangers. Or let me say, radio dominating bangers. And for me, I was looking at Mass Country and I knew this one is going to have a minimum of at least 5 big radio dominating bangers. They're going to take this boy to the world, and that's why
there's already Lemonade with the Nasty C.
Oh, bro. You heard Company, right?
I haven't.
With Kinomida Key Dom, is it Key Dom? I know it's KDDO, but Key Dominant. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, my brother. But they did Fela and Versace together. So now they did Company. Dope track. Lemonade, dope track. Prada, dope track. Even now, I can't wait.
No, it's coming.
I can't wait for Friday. It's coming out on Friday, the album. So yeah.
There's a movie called Burnt, an amazing movie of chefs. It's starring Bradley Cooper. amazing, versatile Hollywood actor as well. But in the movie, he is fighting what's called Michelin stars, which are like the highest accolades in the food world. At some point, he veers off and he does drugs and he goes off the rails and whatever. And then he makes a comeback. And while he's making his comeback, there's a point where he gets disappointed and he gets super drunk and he goes to his rival's restaurant and he causes a scene and whatever. And in causing a scene, he starts crying and he what. And this rival hosts him for the night, makes him breakfast in the morning. And Bradley Cooper's character asks, why are you being so nice to me? You and I are rivals. And this guy is like, you don't realize that I need you. We all do. Because without you and your talent and your skill, we can't reach certain levels. There are some heights we can only reach because you push us there. And as you mentioned, Casper, no, AKA, and it's not just them, you mentioned Kanye and 50 and so many others. There are certain artists, Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs, where you need those healthy rivalries because it's the only way to get the best out of. Depending on the success of Mass Country, that thing from a creativity perspective, Meli Ipompe Casper to want to do more. So seeing a clip of AKA speaking about the O2 Arena, I think it's in London.
Yeah.
Casper must be like, I'm going to do it. And when I get there, I'm going to be like, I want to send a shout out to my brother Kenan. Because he wanted this and his spirit and his soul is here. Shout out South Africa, shout out. Because that's what a healthy rivalry does. It pushes the greatest out of you. And it should. I support it. I wanted to speak about private schools. I wanted to send a shout out to Sim Dope. I know we've spoken about him before. Simpiwe Kumete. So you mentioned Ukabelo. He went to St. Stithians. Rick, may he rest in peace, went to Hilton College. WHP, Hip Hop Pantsula, went to St. Albans. May he rest in peace. Kenan Forbes, of course, along with Entity. Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh.
Oh, shout out to Kamza.
St. John's.
Also, if Kamza is watching this and Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, you're watching this and you're hearing me talk about the people I was sitting next to, but I'm not mentioning you guys. Apologies. I was also sitting next to Kamza. Sure. I was also sitting next to Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh. They were just all here and seeing them on stage, them going back and just reminiscing of back in the days of Entity and Ivy League and just how they spoke. Very well spoken. Sorry to disturb you.
Sure. Shout out to Some Dope, man. I loved his energy when he got on stage.
Yeah.
I think his energy when he got on stage probably immediately made us understand the relationship they had.
Yeah.
It's my boy.
Yeah.
From when they met when they were 11 and even Ekasi, he has Magbizu Rechis, the man's Shama Oral. Forbes, after Forbes, Komete, shit.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to the Komete family, man. Robert Komete, who's a titan. Kichima, very popular businessman. He brought Rick Ross to Mbombela Stadium. I think it was free entry. He's got a super dope home in Nelspruit. His family is amazing. His business ethics. He bought the Lions rugby team at some point with the founder and the chairman of Paramount. They do weapons. Ivor Ichikovitz, another serious businessman and hammer. But shout out to Some Dope. Shout out to the friendship. And I saw a lot of people speaking about the power of private schools. And I wanted us to touch on this because you're speaking about some of our children go to the same schools and some of these schools are private or very top public. And I wanted to say this on camera to the squatters, to the hustlers. If you have the ability to give your children tools for success and platforms, you're a celebrity. We saw it with Will and Jada and what they've done with Willow and Jaden. If you have the ability, we've seen it with Cairo as an example, with DJ Zinhle and AKA, do it. It's the whole point of being a parent. Give your children the greatest platform for them to succeed and then support them like Lynn and Tony. With that being said, for ordinary South Africans, do not ever imprison your minds to think that just because my child is not at a private school or at a top public school, they will become successful. For AKA, for Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, for Okamza and the Ivy League guys, you've got a Casper on your vest, you've got a Questa, you've got your Nasty C's, you've got all these other guys who are super successful. And one of the things I said in a tweet is, you'll speak about Robert Kumete's son, you'll speak about Advocate Dali Mpofu's son, but you must understand both those guys didn't go to private schools. They didn't.
I didn't go to a private school either.
Sbusiso Liopa didn't go to a private school. I didn't go to a private school. So,
but my daughter does.
Don't ever limit yourself. Create tools of success for your children. But don't ever feel like you're not worthy. Wherever you are, if you are hungry, you will find yourself. Some of the top academic scholars in private schools got scholarships because they were academically brilliant wherever they come from. Some of the top sports stars in these top private schools were given scholarships from ordinary public schools they came from. Don't ever limit yourself is what I want to say. Please don't. Casper Nyovest dropped out of school. I'm sure baby shower his stress. But he was hungry the same way Kiernan was hungry, and he was like, just like Kiernan, no plan B, this is all I know. Partnered with WHP, partnered with guys in the industry, and he made it a success. Some of us, myself, I'm friends with so many kids from so many dope private schools and top public schools because of my love for rugby and because I was really good at rugby and because I'm a curious guy and because I want to meet people and because I push. Now you should push. But do not ever look down on kids that did not go to private schools, number one, and do not ever unnecessarily glorify. Ingane efunda at a top private school, that success is the success of the parent. The parent was able to send the child there. That child still needs to prove their own. AKA has never, in my understanding, gone around telling people, hey, I went to St. John's. He humbled himself to our pro kid, to our Kuli Chan, and said, gents, just like you, I want to hustle. I want to be on stages. I want to go to open mics. I want to work on my craft. I might have a platform. I might have people that come from privilege, and I'm thankful, but I want you to respect me for me.
I think it was
like
even,
a Drake.
I think it was even more tougher for him.
Because it's like
number one, he's light-skinned.
Yeah.
There's just that thing. Number two, as much as we're all black, but in South Africa, according to our history, there's still that thing of
there's a segmentation
between colors and blacks. That also,
yeah.
There is an interview back then, I don't even remember where it was, where he speaks about that. That was against him also, as much as other people can say light skin is a privilege, but it can also work against you.
Sure.
Especially if you grew up against or next to Tina.
Sure.
And I like what you're saying, because Tina were those ones.
Sure.
Were those ones good. Sure.
Sure.
Because we had that mentality. As much as Puma Ekasi is funde lokshini, lazy is yahlanya.
Sure.
Tina's blind.
Sure.
No matter we want to make sure good
7-0, Baba.
Yeah, let's
go back to your cheese, Baba.
Sure. You know,
sure.
I even remember when we used to go to your Carlton Center back in the day, small street. Sis born a uzakusakhuluma nangale language. Lazy, lazy. Nina. Lazy is a place. Lazy is trying to slow.
Ikhuluma with their nose. Yeah,
sure. You know, we used to look at you guys.
Sure.
There was also just that rivalry between Tina Lazy. I said, Lokshin, Nani. But Tina Lazy, I said, Lokshin, there's a lot of us who are successful too.
Shit, shout out to Nhlanhla Lux, bro.
Yeah.
Him and someone like Upuga Love. They managed to straddle the Ekasi life and the urban life very well. Because Nhlanhla Lux went to St. David's in Inanda, but Umfana was Ekasi, so it's Kasi. But he succeeded. Golf, academically, whatever. Upuga Love as well. Twana Ekasi went to St. Stadium. So to shout out to those of us who managed to straddle those worlds, because it's tough.
It's tough, yeah.
Ekasi, you're not black enough. Elias Lungwin, you're not white enough. So you find yourself having to prove who to blind la. And then Ekasi, you have to shy grounding, be blind with baller so that you can earn respect. Shout out to those guys, man.
So he had everything against him.
Yeah.
The language.
Sure.
There was a time when Pro joined TS. If you go listen to the music, I think it did is it Heads and Tails? I don't know what the album it did before it did one album, it did one with Galo.
Sure.
Shout out to Sipos Tole for doing that deal with him, and I think it was Mr. Salvin. Oh, it's no, him and Proverb, I think.
Native Rhythms.
Yeah.
Dr. Sipos Tole.
And then he joined TS. When he joined TS, I even remember the specific song that became a hit, Ibamba. It was Bounce. I'm the one who told Pro, Amachita was Ekasi nabahamba ba bounce, baya bamba. It's like, yeah.
That's Ivy League.
Yeah, Ivy League, the
Boom.
beat. Yeah.
To this day. Yabonje monge Ekasi, ngathi mavelu.
Bam, yo. I'm getting goosebumps, bro. Konje, what is this other song? Not Ibamba, man. There's another hit song that he made. That was not his beat. It was It was no, not Uwozuzo. But anyway, let's continue. And there's another one where Upro says, TS, please, Fagani profit share or else I'm off this year. That song is also produced by Ivy League, the Ivy League guy. Anyway, so I'm mentally I'm going back to those days, man. Those were amazing days. But when Pro was with us, you can tell that he rapped more with Vernac. And it worked for him. And I think even moving forward, he even did more Vernac, but he would still spice it up in Singapore.
That's his native rhythms. Zulu boy.
Oh,
speak out Zulu boy.
Jeez. But anyway, so that's what I was trying to say. Then AKA comes Singapore. But he still broke through. Why? Because he was so much of a true South African that he was smart to be able to, yeah, and again, spice up and but the way I end man. Even the way guys, is not only about the talent.
Yes.
There's the business side of it and there's the branding side of the artist. So him and his team 5th season, Abu Benza, condolences, my brother, and the whole team at 5th season. May Tibbs' soul rest in peace, and just what Tibbs did in contribution to working on the brand, aka in branding the artist. Because it's one thing to have good music. Good music, you're halfway there. If the album is good, great. But it doesn't mean we've succeeded. You've just delivered a great album from the studio. Now it's time to get it out there. And we're going to get it out there through marketing. Marketing, radio, TV, PR. We want to be on podcasts. We want to be doing interviews. We want to be, you know what I mean? We want to be everywhere performing. It's going to be shows that we're going to take, but they're not going to pay us, but we're going to go there to promote the new music. You know what I mean? So where you now going to take this music to the people, that takes a lot of work. But for an artist to do that, shout out to him, and I'll forever.
He went to one of the most expensive, most prestigious schools in the country. But he still could connect with Amachita Ekasi.
And the blind for it. Greatness, you can't suppress it. Naga blind, blind. That's why being temper, when you see that clip, go check it out. Like it's dark, you can't really see his facial expressions. But you can just see, you can only imagine in his mind, he's like, these niggas actually think I'm joking. He's passionate. In the background, color lengo Malay company. I think at the but then and understand it. You know, it's your answer. Like we are born with Lomundo hungry. You know, and what he had gone through, you could just tell. This would have been a beautiful story to unfold right in front of our eyes. But moving forward, I think there's a lot to learn from the loss in how musicians move. And I know you can never really cover all corners. And a lot of musicians, as much as in the public eye, they might look like they're doing well. But financially, they're probably not even doing as well as to be able to afford to pay for a bodyguard or to pay for two security guys to look after you, or to get an extra car, or to get an armored vehicle. And a lot of us, man, because South Africans are just very loving people, we're not used to that type of energy.
We're not.
Where we have to be walking around with bodyguards. Like, we're not used to that. I mean, you know me. I believe in my mind. I don't have any enemies. I don't bother anyone. I'm in my own lane. I do my own things. I don't have any bodyguards. I don't even think in my mind there would be anyone out there who might have a motive to cause me harm. Because and I'm not in anyone's lane. Like so what about if I'm that type of a musician where all of these things are happening and now I'm scared moving forward, living in a country with so much lawlessness in South Africa? A clip of advocate Ike Khumalo inspired me to do a Facebook Live that I did, I think, sometime last year before I went overseas. I quoted you on that live. I quoted Advocate Ike Khumalo as well, and I said, but then what do you do if you feel that that person that has got no problem with nobody, but then you're a parent, you're a father, and you're looking after a home, you've got a wife to look after, you've got maybe 2 kids, like all of these people, you're their protector. And is it a point where now actually even us who feel we're good guys have to get guns because we're living in a country like South Africa. And that's why conversations as about Penson, your brother, would interest me. Where, you know, Penson would say things like, no, but if anything can happen now, what are you going to do? As advocate Aikumalo would say the same. Who would know? They
both believe in caring. They both believe in caring.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it brings about such conversations in the country that we're living in, where are you just going to entrust everything to the law? You were saying it even earlier, as much as it's wrong, but some other people might be inspired by the fact that they don't see a lot of crimes being solved. So that's why they end up even trying to solve them themselves, being internet detectives, which I would say it's wrong, but they'd be like, but the police are not doing anything. And even if you try and, you know, engage them on that conversation, they're like, okay, what's happening to Senzo's case?
100%.
Then it's 9 call. And then they're like, first 48 hours of any crime, has anything different been said about AK's case? It was And then they'd ask you about DJ Sambo's, was and then rest in peace to another DJ that I just heard he passed on. I was not aware. DJ R5, I think, he was also gunned down. I'm like, what is going on in South Africa? What should we do, us as ordinary people who are not famous people, now who are just family people? Should we also go get guns like Americans?
I'll tell you this. I don't want to speak much on carrying a gun. I think we'll speak about it, or we have spoken about it, or we'll speak about it again. One of the things I think as abantu abamnyama, especially as abantu abamnyama, as South Africans, as Africans, but especially as abantu abamnyama, that we still don't understand is the way the world works is you need to protect anything that you value. It's one of the major themes in the Black Panther and the story of Wakanda. You've got a nation that is hidden from the rest of the world because the leadership has come to understand that if the world, which has evil energy, knows what we have, which is vibranium, and vibranium could be your gold, or vibranium could be your people and your melanin. Once they know what you have, inevitably they will come in and want to destroy that. So you need to protect that. In a country like ours, the taxi industry, I think, understands this lesson. Abantu ababerani iPaza did not understand this lesson, and that's why they lost iPaza, which was wealth. Some of us who are maybe, or some of the people that are in the arts and entertainment, maybe they don't understand this. There have been stories about or Shaka Zulu or Lion King, some of the cultural appropriation, and that people didn't get royalties and the like. We still haven't learned the value of once you have a woman, a child, yourself, and you value yourself, you have no choice but to protect what you have through things like insurance, through things like a will and it's a will, life insurance, maybe getting lawyers, a trust, and those. So those are legal things. If you have a home, a beautiful home, you know, I need to get electric, what. If you live in a certain neighborhood, boom gate, maybe security, whatever. But we never think, look, it goes beyond that. You are an asset. You are an asset. Other people in this country, we saw it during the looting again. They were communities that you would have never thought, Banepam and stuff. They know that what they have is valuable. And that's why they protect it. Not because of Nuglima's Abantu, but because uyazithanda. I love myself so much, I will protect me. I love my daughters, my sons as well, so much. I will treat them, I will teach them how to protect themselves. So that is something that you still need to understand. And part of it is, don't unnecessarily give away IP. Some of our stories, don't just do Ubuntu. That's how they took umhlaba wethu. They're going to take our stories. They're going to take our music. They're going to take our creativity. Some of them are taking our real wealth, which is our people. They come and they fetch our talent and we celebrate Shaizan. But then who's making the most out of our people? It's them, not us. We celebrate our creatives and those people overseas that are shining. But we have to start saying, as they're shining there, are they bringing resources back home? Are they bringing skills back home? Are they bringing the globe back home? Or has the globe just taken our flowers and they're shining out there? But to be honest, the value is out there. Whether it's an Elon Musk, a Lion King, a Sarafina, when you actually track imali, who's making money from Lion King? Is it Africa and South Africa? You're like, no. No, man, labantu must bathathi golide lethu. And they make, so we still need to learn how to defend what we have. I want to say this, when you speak about AK, I think of Drake, of course Kanye West, who also light-skinned, colored, came from, not thug, wasn't selling drugs, and he came and he earned the respect and the trust of guys that come from Elokshi, the projects in America. And I'm just thinking of Jobu Kulmango Pro Kid, man. They speak about a cipher in heaven they speak about it in American terms. And I'm thinking now, you've got gents chilling. If you believe in heaven, sorry, and if you're a Christian, or in the afterlife, you've got guys that are making music there. You've got Pro Kid, aka Ricky Rick, Double HP. Maybe as somebody there on the decks. We've lost someone like Kumampincha. Just the musicality that is happening. And even before them, come on, man. Once we start going back, it's going to be a mess. But just young gents that we've lost, and the music that we lost, whether it was a killing, which is tragic, or whether it's through illness or suicide or whatever. Damn, man. Damn.
We've lost, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, keep strong, guys. I think let's look after ourselves. I know we wanted to talk about more stuff, but unless in case you want to chip in a little bit more. Nami, I wanted to speak about more and other things, but I think, jeez, man, it's hardly 10 days.
Yeah.
It hasn't even been 2 weeks yet.
No, let's shut it down.
We've just gone through so much. So I see Patengahle, I see Nagegeleni. You know, sometimes they say you also can't tell people how to grieve.
Yeah.
You know, grieve the way you want to grieve. If you're a big fan, for me, I'd like to encourage you to go listen to his music. And oh yeah, the last thing I have to say this one. In the midst of us losing Ukiernan, sadly, Tibbs lost his life. And as the police publicly said what it was an assassination, I don't think Tibbs would have been targeted, but Tibbs happened to lose his life. And as we're hearing with the stories, as much as they'd known each other and there was history from back in the day, and there was love, they were not together on that day. So I had a meeting with Paul Mnesu, Paul, Rude Boy Paul. Is shattered, you know, Tibbs and Donayake. Tibbs himself says it on an interview that I did with him. I actually put it up for those who don't know who he was. I kind of felt it was unfortunate that he had to lose his life in all of that. You can look at it in a way and say, wow, these guys went through so much together. They built a brand, AKA, together. And, you know, Tibbs with his partnership, Nabo Bands, started 5th Season, which ended up becoming one of the most successful labels in South Africa, bringing us the likes of Abo, Amifaku and the rest. Did a great job. But Tibbs, Tibbs was an incredible businessman. He was extremely smart. He was humble. The way he moved, he loved the finer things in life. He was a good chef, good cook. He dressed well. He was a GQ best dressed. He tells his story on the interview that I had with him. And I posted that interview. Also, now we posted the interview.
Sure.
You know, I don't want to seem like I'm posting.
Sure, just to ride.
You know what I mean?
Whatever.
But I was like, in all of this noise of a big star, a mega superstar like Kiernan passing on, it's very easy for all of us to just say Kiernan and his friend,
sure,
or an unknown friend.
Sure.
And I had heard that on a
initially the articles were doing that, and it annoyed me as well.
That's what pissed me off. And I was like,
because Tibbs is not just a guy.
Yeah.
He's not look, he could have been just a friend, but he's not just a friend.
Even if he was a friend, he can't just be
just take the lane.
You understand?
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, let me post this interview.
So that people know.
Yeah, for his
like
legacy.
Some dope. People must know.
Yes, they must know how great and how brilliant this person that we've just to give a picture, to give a face and let him speak, let them hear him from the horse's mouth, who this person was.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they were thanking me. Actually, thank you for having posted this interview. So if you go to YouTube right now, on the Hustlers Corner, it's there. You can see the comments. I also posted it on my social media. I posted it on my TikTok.
Sure.
Posted it on my Facebook. Posted it on my Instagram. A lot of people's comments are exactly the 100% of the comments are like, yo, we didn't know how much of an incredible gent this brother was.
Yeah.
Now we understand why AKA became AKA, because of behind the scenes he had brothers like this.
Yeah.
So to Motswana family, nithi aluehlanga kungehlanga noma nithi akuehlanga lungehlanga ngesizulu nithini. What is that phrase?
Bundles are out.
Oh, okay. But basically in English is condolences. And although, you know, the celebration of his life might not have had been like AKAs, but understandably so. We all understand AKA was the superstar, was the musician, was the public guy. Tibbs was more of a reserved guy. Paul was telling me when we had a chat, it shattered his family. They are not okay. It's sad. But also he does say Tibbs was moving different lately. He was more reserved, he was more quiet, and he was in Durban to do other things. He was meant to do some cooking thing in Mhlanga. I think there was an event that somebody else that he was gonna, and I think they hit up each other and they so happened to be in the same city together. And
so you believe he was to straight bullets, essentially? You don't think that he was targeted? When you speak about, they say it's an assassination of AKA.
I got Tibbs. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think he was
targeted.
Yeah, I don't think so. So I don't want to say ngephutha as if Kenan's life bekungasi phutha, but
I hear exactly what you're saying. I hear exactly what you're saying.
I just wanted to highlight in all of it, as we're celebrating Kienan's life as well, let's remember an incredible mind, a bright, amazing, intelligent brother, successful, beautiful, smart brother who contributed in AKA's life. Abo Milkshake, may Dimples soul rest in peace. Abo Dimples, he worked with Abo Sea Life, he worked with myself, he's worked with everybody in the industry. He was an incredible bro. So I just wanted to touch on Tibbs' life as well.
Thank you very much, Sbu. To all the virtual squatters, to all the hustlers, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, to all the family and friends from the Forbes and the Mutsuane families, we send our sympathies and condolences again. To each and every one of you who's lost a loved one, whether recently or in the past, we send our sympathies and condolences to you as well. Please learn to control your emotions and your anger. We're all trying to live. We're all trying to be happy. And look, if you woke up this morning, man, be grateful for life, because you never know when your candle will be taken out. Whether through illness or a crime or whatever the case may be, let's appreciate life. And I think when you look at a life like Kenan Forbes' life, someone like a Tupac, these guys lived multiple lives in one. And it becomes a challenge on you. What legacy and legacy are you going to leave behind? Why are you scared of recording that album? Why are you scared of becoming an artist, a visual artist? When are you going to release that sitcom or that drama series? When are you going to start that business? What are you waiting for? Because you don't know when your life will end. Start today. We are a shining example of ordinary people that are trying to use the few gifts that we have to try and inspire others and to also just express ourselves. But our sympathies and condolences. We condemn all crime, especially murder in this country. If you're one of those people that is evil, please, if you are religious, please go and find spiritual healing. Go and heal yourself. Go and be better. Go and live a positive life. We have got children, man, who are trying to live and ignite the world and be a positive force in this life. We condemn the killings, and we do ask our political leaders, we do ask the South African police services and all the people that are meant to be protecting and trusting us to please try better. A lot of people are very sad and very angry about what's happening in this country. And so that we can find justice and so we can live better. And for the rest of us, look, let's try and protect our families better in whatever way that means. You know, let's try and do better. There are over 16,000 men that are murdered every year in this country, and between 2,000 and 4,000 women that are murdered in this country. And half of those women are murdered by their intimate partners. So, don't ever lose your mind and be so emotionally invested that you feel like you own her. And but understand that her family and herself have dreams. Let her be, let her fly. You have dreams. Would you want to spend the rest of your life in jail? Or someone uyaglimaza as well? Let us be cognizant of the human beings that we live with. We are human beings. We have humanity. We have Ubuntu. And it is up to each and every one of us to ignite our Ubuntu and to make sure that we live a better life. The virtual Mkhukhu, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great week.
My last contribution is Kabzela Lala Ngxolo Putuetu. He was a Grootman. Iggy Smalls, a very young guy whom, if he was alive today, I have no doubt he'd be one of the top international DJs. DJ Monde. All these guys died in their 20s. We're all young at YFM. We're so blessed to be living our dream, being on the coolest radio station in the country where everybody wanted to be at. exercising our passion of music, being on air, on the radio, building ourselves, sitting into another time, moving fast. So we're living on the fast lane. We're partying from Wednesday night, being ladies' night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays is a calabash. So at Durban, I know at the time, clubs like Abu Tilt, our clubs like Abu Sky Bar were still open. It was Bekonabo Who's Who, Bekonabo Abu Calabash. Our life was very fast, but when our man passed on Ufana Kaba due to HIV and AIDS, may soul rest in peace, was an awakening to a lot of us. It was an eye-opener for us to start living differently. And also, Iggy died through a car accident. Anything can happen. We started waking up young as we were. We're so good to this thing is not going to be forever. Anything can happen. We can easily just lose our lives as well. So I guess we used, Tina, those few experiences or those deaths, and may their soul rest in peace, to start slowly changing behavior, slowly the way we move, trying to be a little bit more responsible, having bigger dreams, to propel ourselves to say we want to live a longer life. We don't want our lives just getting, we don't want our lives to be cut short. So we use, unfortunately, they are passing in a positive way to inspire ourselves to start leading a positive life so we can become Abu somebody one day. And then I happened to become DJ Sbu, and I became the man that I am today because of those deaths. And I'm still speaking about those deaths, like over 15 years later. And I always think about these guys who are my friends, and I'm like, wow, if these guys were still around, how far they would be. But I have no doubt they'd be very far because their musical taste was amazing, all of them. We remember Ukaba and Mkhukhu, Volume 1, Volume 2. We remember DJ Mondo. We remember Iggy Smalls and just his taste in music. I actually collaborated with him, and I did my first album, I did it with Iggy Smalls. Back in those days, we never used to 100% create and produce the music ourselves in studio. Back in those days, house music, we used to license it from overseas and do compilation albums and release it. That's how DJ Fresh also released his first 2 or 3 albums, or if not 4 albums. That's how I released my first album in collaboration with Iggy Smalls. He would pick the music together. I would change for me. That was my track. That was on my album. I would Kim English. Been so long. I'm missing you, baby. I would, I had this amazing soulful house album that I did with Iggy, and just his musical taste, how YFM sounded like on air. He was the genius behind that music, him and DJ Monde. So their lives got cut short early, and it was so sad to a lot of us for many years, all the way up until today. We just think of our brothers. Actually, Paul the other day was telling me he was speaking to DJ Monde's mother over the phone, and he got so emotional, because then you think of Monde's mother, probably when always she looks at us on social media, she thinks, kubumondu nabo spoona manje, kubumondu nabo coffee manje, kubumondu ingane yamuna, you know what I mean? Like kubune izugule, kube nezinye izugulu manje, so we don't want that. We don't want our parents to bury us. So all you guys out there, the younger generation, we hope with this situation as sad as it is right now, you take a leaf from what I've just said, Uguti, and what he's just said. We hope with this sort of inspires you to say, you know what, I want to live a longer life. Maybe I'd been moving, sometimes we check never, but what has just happened is sort of become an epiphany for me to say, you know what, maybe now I want to start living my life this way, because one day I want to become a better person. Maybe you're still in your 20s. You want to be as old as he is, 36 or 37. You want to be as old as I am, 43, 44. We all want to be as old as our parliamentarians, We want to reach our 60s, our 70s. And know what says sebenzile emhlabeni, ingane ziyasebenza ishadile, khona izukulu ziyafunda. Then you know what, even if anything happens, at least I've put out all of the energies and all of my gifts to this earth that uNkulunkulu had brought me here for, and I've lived out my purpose because I've lived a longer life. But it takes you taking situations like these, young as you are out there, to also start moving differently.
Have a great week, guys. We're out.